Stigma Free Voices, the podcast where we have honest conversations about mental health, the struggles, the breakthroughs, and everything in between as well. Because the more we talk, the less power stigma has. So I'm your host, Andrea Paquette. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Stigma Free Mental Health Society. Today, we're talking with someone who spent his career building companies, but who's now channeling that experience into something a little closer to his heart, mental health. My guest is Harrison Newlands, founder and CEO of Everkind, which is a Toronto-based platform using AI to make emotional wellness support more accessible, more affordable, and stigma-free. Harrison, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, for sure. And are you coming in from Toronto today?
Yes. So we got blue skies and sunny as of right now.
Oh, that's amazing. Love it. Yeah, I'm
How's
in
everything out on the
Saskatchewan.
West Coast?
What's that?
Sorry. I was saying, how's everything out on the West Coast?
I'm actually in Saskatchewan. I'm right in the middle of Canada,
you're right in
for
the
those
middle.
who are watching.
And you guys have a lovely day there too?
Yeah, it's really nice. It's been quite windy in the prairies, but really enjoying it. So yeah, welcome. Okay, so I'm just going to get into your bio and then ask some questions. That sound good to you?
Sounds like a great time.
Okay. So Everkind is described as a Toronto-based emotional wellness technology company dedicated to making mental and emotional support accessible, affordable, and like I said, stigma-free. It's built as an AI-powered emotional wellness platform to support reflective, wellness-curious individuals that helps people promote reflection, stress management, and mental clarity. On the personal side, Harrison's LinkedIn shows him actively involved in a monthly mental health foundation, The Real. So we'll talk a little bit about that and about your own ambitions for a foundation as well. So I'm really, really excited to have you here as we talk about positive mental health and what helps you stay well, maybe what's missing, and what you want to put out into the world. So before we get into Everkind, I was wondering, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Who is Harrison, perhaps even outside of the CEO title?
Yeah, I kind of grew up in Toronto, was growing up playing hockey. And then from there, I always knew I wanted to get into business. And so would follow around kind of different mentors that I was lucky enough to kind of get tucked under their wing and be called their left and right hand. Ended up kind of, after playing hockey university, breaking my foot, transferring up to Guelph University here in Ontario, and then kind of landing a job on Bay Street, working in the financial industry. I was fortunate enough that the cannabis industry was just starting. And then from there, that's kind of where my first foray into kind of a business of any scale was, having started kind of a bunch of different side projects and businesses kind of throughout my high school days and university days, whether it was a dock boy in Muskoka, carrying groceries, you name it. I was even a babysitter. I worked for a moving company. You name it, I've probably done it. And then when I went into the cannabis industry, I was fortunate, like I said, to have all these kind of older gentlemen who had kind of gone on to have successful careers prior. And we were all at kind of the early onset of it. So kind of when it was turning to legalization, and that meant that nobody had any experience. Like there were sure consumers, there was kind of people from the illegal market. But in terms of like the business and legal market, everyone was starting in the same space. Didn't matter what age you were, didn't matter kind of where in your careers you were. And it was kind of figure out as you go. And so kind of through that experience, I was able to kind of, soak in as much knowledge and understanding of the people I surrounded myself with. We ended up, I worked at one of the original kind of licensed producers in Canada. And then thereafter realized that there was a massive opportunity in kind of not only just growing it, but figuring out how to properly sell it, because it was so kind of, it was early, and there were a bunch of different kind of comparisons and theses I came up with, but it was very educational and location based. And so it was never about competing with the black market. The black market had the issue of competing with the legal market because of the variety. If I put it in the bottom of your building, it all came down to price and convenience at the end of the day.
Yeah. So you spent almost a decade building companies in cannabis, EV, and capital markets before pivoting to mental health tech. So this is really what I'd love to talk with you today. Was there a moment or experience that made you want to build something in this space specifically?
Yeah, I think it was a bunch of things throughout my life that kind of led through the ups and downs, whether it was challenges I had with my partners or different periods where I would go see a therapist or psychologist. My parents' divorce obviously had a massive impact on me. And so I was seeing a therapist that was recommended me through a doctor. And with that, it kind of really opened my eyes to one, the benefits, but also kind of some of the fractures that are currently within the industry in North America.
Hmm.
And then I think what happened during COVID was it really broke the stigma of mental health, and people started speaking more openly about it, especially here in Canada, where you're getting these kind of aggressive lockdowns where you couldn't go outside, there was nowhere to go to work, you couldn't really go see friends and family. And so you're basically staring at the same four walls every day for months on end. And sadly, that period was during the winter months where kind of darkness and the mental health there is a massive effect up here when the winter hits.
Yeah. And so mental health can be a deeply personal subject for founders in this space. Was there a personal experience, your own or someone close to you, that may have shaped this mission that really matters to you?
Yeah, I think a lot of it was kind of my own when I set out on this. I thought it was a unique and interesting project. I had connected with a guy out of Montreal who had built it from his own experience. And then just seeing what was happening globally, where people aren't comfortable looking somebody in the face and having an uncomfortable conversation about what it is they're going through, the ups and downs, the challenges. It's really hard for anyone to reach out and say, look, I made a mistake here, or I need your help here. This is what I'm going through. Um, and it takes a lot of courage and to be able to kind of advance that and have that conversation. And so in
Mhm.
seeing that more people were feeling comfortable kind of having a conversation with an AI chatbot, and Harvard Business did a peer review study on it that kind of not only did military veterans, first responders, C-suite executives feel more comfortable speaking with an AI chatbot, but the numbers globally, like 900 million people on ChatGPT every single week, one of their questions they ask is in relation to their mental health or well-being. 50 million people in North America on 4 platforms alone converse with an AI companion, and whether that's a best friend, girlfriend, boyfriend. Um, and that's outside of those large language models that kind of everyone is, you hear in the news every single day. And then it's 2 of the top 5 use cases globally on every major LLM is kind of mental health and wellness. And so in looking at kind of where the opportunity lies, it wasn't about using AI to replace kind of the therapists that exist today, or kind of replace the resources that exist today, whether they're government, university, or thereof. It was about using it as the bridge to get people back to the real world, willing to have a conversation with someone and knowing what to have that conversation about. And so what AI does really well is it's able to ask you questions to dive deeper into it, basically create kind of the analog behind it, and then
Mhm.
understand and know where to push you in the right direction. So the ultimate goal is then to be able to kind of increase the odds of matching somebody with the right therapist. I heard a funny story from an individual the other day where he saw 22 therapists before he found his one. Who has
Mhm.
the time and or the capital to be able to go to try 22 therapists? No one.
Mhm.
So he is a complete anomaly. And some people will go to 1 or 2 and it still won't be the right one. And then they'll just think, oh, you know what, this isn't for me. And so I think using AI as the bridge back to the real world, and to have those kind of conversations and know what those conversations are about, and have that understanding and be able to even share, if you so choose, those conversations in a summarized format with somebody. Now you have talking points.
Mhm.
That was a
So
long sorry.
yeah, go on.
No, I was saying I was apologizing for my long ramble.
Oh, no, it was lovely. I don't think that was long. Oh, good. So for listeners who haven't heard of it, what is Everkind in your own words?
Everkind is a safe space to turn to just to get out of your own head. It's a core belief of mine that your mind is your own worst enemy. It's the one challenging you and second guessing you and telling you can't do something and putting those doubts in your head. And so it's a safe place to get out of your own head, start working through, and then start slowly picking up on the patterns, like whether it's kind of you had a rough sleep the other night. Well, maybe that's linked to
Mhm.
something else going on in your life, or maybe your eating's off, or you're not going to the gym. And so it's going to be able to really understand you and then offer advice and or pull in those resources to be able to know where to push you. With the ultimate goal of like being able to match you, like I said, with the therapist by knowing what you're going through. I read another stat the other day. So virtual teletherapy or whatever it's called these days, these online kind of portals that kind of you connect with an online therapist. 90% of the decision the user has in picking who that therapist is comes back to one thing: the picture of the therapist. It's not about what their specialty is as a therapist or a practitioner, and it's not about where you're going through. And so those two simple things are able to bridge the gap completely. The first therapist I ever saw in my life was recommended to me by my doctor, just based on kind of the stress and workload and a divorce that was going on in my family. And it wasn't the right therapist for me. I went to therapy looking for this aha moment or this breakthrough, and I think we've spoke about this kind of in our last conversation. And with that, I was like, I'm going to stay committed. I'm going to book the first Thursday of every single month, and this is where we're going to go. And so you'd show up that Thursday, and they'd be like, "So what's been going on?" And you're like, "Oh, well, and you're trying to remember the ups and downs. You're wishing you brought notes or a journal with you. So Everkind's there to fill that gap, sort of that. The next one is kind of those in-between moments, which were the most important to me, where it was like, look, I booked these sessions the first Thursday of every month, but then that other 95% of the time, I'm back left to my own kind of device and my own mind. And even if the therapist knew what I was going through and knew that kind of I had a big stressful project that I was over anxious about or really worked up about and stressed about, not once did she ever reach out and just be like, "Hey, Harrison, I knew you had that thing today. Just wanted to check in," until the next time you show up at that. And then she kind of quickly reviews her notes and she's like, "So what's been going on since I last?" And so it's not a shot at therapists, because I do think they're overworked. They're jammed packed 8 to 9 a.m. every day, starting 8, 9 a.m. till about 5 p.m. They still typically transcribe all their notes by hand. And then through that, they then spend an hour or two uploading those in all their individual folders. And then they only get a chance to review that ahead of the next time you come in. Yeah. And so using AI is the perfect tool to be the bridge between the two worlds, the outside, but then also connecting you and being able to, and then sharing. So it's like, do you want to share these notes with your therapist? And from user feedback we're getting from real world users, we're seeing that kind of one of the things is they want to be able to download their notes. They want a summarized version. Why? Because they want to be able to take that to their next therapy session. It's a place for them in that other 95% of the time to get it down in paper and writing and then be able to take it. Another interesting thing I just learned that kind of our platform does the other day is that it's very good to still transcribe and write journals by hand. There's studies on that and the benefits to kind of your mind and everything else. The issue with that is that it's up to you as the individual to then go read that and then pick up on any kind of patterns you see. So one, Everkind handles all of that, but two, you can actually take a picture of your handwritten notes and journal and then upload it into the Everkind app.
Oh, beautiful.
To pick up on everything. So you're getting the best of both worlds.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love that. And so what I'm really seeing is a complement to a therapist, a friend, journaling, and just having all of that information in one place. And I love that it takes an image. AI is wonderful, right? So you're able to put all of those thoughts in there. That's amazing. Love it. So Stigma Free is core to what we do on this show and at Stigma Free Mental Health Society. I was wondering, Everkind's design or their approach, is it actively working to reduce stigma around seeking mental health support?
Yeah, I think the stigma is more a broader issue. What Everkind does is it gives you that safe, kind of secure place. And I can get into that kind of in a second, to be open, be honest. Because even when you're speaking to a friend, a loved one, a therapist, it's funny, you ask anybody and it's like they're giving 80 to 90% of the truth, but they're holding back that 10%. Whereas with AI, there's this trust that it's not somebody on the other side. You're not being judged. And so with that, you're able to kind of feel more open and comfortable and possibly share something vulnerable that you would not share with anybody else. And so it was really important for me with Everkind was that as a tech company, we never wanted to build a back door, because once you open a door at a tech company, you can never shut it. And I'm not going to be one of those companies that's ever selling user data or profiles. And so what I did is I never built a back door. We built a side door. What that side door is, and before anything gets transferred to that side door, everything is depersonalized, de-identified, heavily encrypted. It took us about 1.5 years to build that. And the reason for that is because your age, your name, your general location don't benefit kind of a diagnosis or guiding you to the proper resources or what you need. Knowing what you're going through and the ups and downs and challenges and mapping that out is heavily more important than knowing that it's James in Alberta and he's 19 years old. So we scraped all that. And then the only people that have access to the side door is our clinical team and practitioners. And they're just looking and training the model, making sure it's staying in the proper place with those guardrails that we've kind of been working on for kind of 2+ years now.
Love it. So who is Everkind built for? If you could tell me, is there a specific kind of person or moment in someone's life where you think it could have the biggest impact?
Yeah, it's funny. When we set out on the journey, I built it for myself. And I think this goes back to your stigma question just now, is I built it for myself as a passion project. It was something kind of I wanted to make accessible and available to everyone. And it was kind of the thing that keeps me up at night is that, like, you can really channel it into any avenue or any target audience. And I didn't want to do that. But the market is so big that that's what kind of keeps me up at night. You're seeing it, 2 of the top 5 use cases globally on every major LLM. And so the significance of it is kind of completely different from when I set out on this project. Now we're growing at kind of somewhere between a few thousand users every single day since we came out of stealth in January. But in terms of, sorry, I lost my train of thought.
That's okay. Yeah. So specific kind of person or moment in somebody's life. Yeah.
So I thought it was going to be a younger demographic to start. Thank you for getting me back on track.
No
I thought it
problem.
was going to be this younger demographic to start. And what it came back as, our primary user right now is between the ages of 26 to 56 and primarily female. So that was super interesting to us. Second kind of use cases, and we're studying kind of the user activation and kind of the engagement, and the only way we get any feedback is when they leave reviews, whether it be in the App Store or they send the company email. And so we look to what they like, what they don't like, what they want changed, or some of the ideas they have. And so we've learned that kind of some of our primary users when it comes to voice is primarily male. And so we're trying to tincture and tailor and make it available to as many people as we possibly can. As long as I'm the CEO, I'm adamant and pushing that there will always be a free version available so that no one gets turned away. And it's really just to get people kind of feeling open, confident, and talking and seeing if we can get them back to talking about it with somebody.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that is great. I feel like I've learned so much more about Everkind today. And I also want to you've talked about building the Everkind Foundation alongside the company. Why is that important to you? And why did that start as an afterthought? Like, share that with me.
Well, it was important that any revenue that kind of comes into the company or finding a way to give back. And so we launched kind of that nonprofit, the Everkind Foundation, underneath, to be able to support kind of different mental health initiatives in various markets that we're going after. Like, these are all kind of my opinions, but when you look at the North American landscape when it comes to mental health and kind of post-COVID, there's an abundance of resources that exist. And so it's challenging for somebody when they're going through it and they need it most to go to Google and try to figure out kind of where to turn to. And so just knowing what they're going through, you're going to be able to kind of direct them. But when you look at areas that are, whether it be war-torn regions or kind of Africa, where they don't have those existing resources, whether it be government or kind of local or universities or places to turn. Like, there's one African country that has 16 therapists for a population of 17 million. Like, they just don't exist. In other cultures, Asia culture or Asia primarily, it's perceived as a weakness to speak openly about your mental health and well-being to your loved ones, family members. And so you're seeing a lot of them turn to AI. And partially because resources don't exist there. I met one guy, another funny story, who there's no kind of psychologist or therapist over there. So his version of mental health and kind of self-exploration is he goes to a fortune teller.
Oh, yeah.
That's a true story, and he strongly believes that. But that's another reason that, like, I think like 3-4 months ago, one of the most viral apps in the entire kind of Asian market was it was called "Are You Dead?" or "Are You Still Alive?" It was one of the two. And what that is, it was a simple app that kind of, because more people are living by themselves and alone. It's a simple app that every single day, "Are you still alive?" You press a green button, and then if you don't press the button, it will alert kind of your emergency contact or a family member. And so you're seeing it on a global perspective. I think just North America has kind of those resources already in place. People are more open and cognizant about kind of what happened in COVID, speaking openly about kind of one's mental health. You're seeing kind of this wellness trend, whether it be longevity or kind of the peptides or whatever it is, that is becoming a lot more in focus here. And like I said, the resources exist, but in other parts of the world, they don't. And so North America is our primary market because it's our home base, and Canada being that. But we are looking to expand kind of outside to those underserved areas where we see a massive market opportunity.
Yeah. Massive market opportunity for sure. And think of all the lives you'll be able to change. Yeah. Amazing.
So that was my one thing that when I set out on this, and like I said, I built it kind of for myself and my own passion project. And then when I started talking to people about what I was building, everyone had a story, but they didn't open up and tell me their story until they knew what I was doing, the industry I was in, and so on and so forth. And so it really got people, like, every single time I have the conversation, somebody connects, and whether it be a loved one, a friend of theirs, or a challenge they went through, they start speaking more openly about it. And so that goes back to ending the stigma. It's just getting people open and talking about it, and in a safe space where they feel comfortable.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to close on a more general question. I was hoping to get your feedback. So, if somebody is listening, hesitant to reach out for help, whether through Everkind or otherwise, what would you say to them?
I do it all the time. You're battling your own mind. And when you're able to conquer your mind and know that's the one holding you back, there's nothing that can stop you. If you can channel your mind from those negative self-doubts, oh, they're going to make fun of me, or whatever it is, whatever that is, if you're able to channel that, you can conquer anything. And just knowing, I think, like, the most amazing part is we're all human. We're all the same. And you'll never know who else is hiding behind the curtain until you come out and you start talking openly and what it is about and what you're going through. Because I guarantee there's somebody there around you that's going through something similar or challenging time, and you have no idea because they're still there hiding behind the curtain. And that's what's going to end this. And I don't even like calling it stigma. I think that just ends that uncomfortable ability.
Yeah.
Like, at some point, humans just got so used to being behind a screen and staring at their phones all the day, to forget that there's a real world out there, that there's the benefits of just going for a long walk in the nature, to looking up and getting the sun on your face, to being out there with friends. Like, I try to go for a once a week walk for an hour with one of my buddies. We just talk shop. We talk kind of what's going on in our lives or our families. And it's great. It gets us outdoors. We go for a walk. We're talking. We're having a good time. And it's a nice reset. And having those resets and the kind of the things that make you, whether it be energized or bring you back down, is exactly what's going to be kind of that accelerant once you control your mind.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Harrison. Everybody, that's all the time we have for today. But Harrison, thank you so much for being so open with us about your journey, about what you're building at Everkind, because it's conversations like this that are exactly what we need in this society. It's what's going to make a difference. And I'm so excited to see how things end up for you. And if people want to find out more about you or Everkind, where can they do that?
You can go to www.everkind.com. everkind.com or reach out anytime on LinkedIn.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining Stigma Free Voices. If you're watching this after the fact, we ask that you share on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, wherever you are. I hope you have a wonderful day. And please remember, let's all live stigma free. Take care.
Thank you.